Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Hello, friends. Welcome to, well, I was going to call it a Mavs party, but I don't know if we deserve a party. I don't know if the Mavs deserve a party. After last night's game, we're all still slightly sassy and hungover. However, the Mavericks did win tonight. They defeated the Orlando Magic, and eventually, kind of a shakeout game where they looked as rough as possible for the first half, despite Luka looking like a basketball supernova. The third quarter, they slowly wore the Magic down, and then in the fourth quarter, the bench unit really took a commanding lead, and then at the 6-minute mark, they used a very similar lineup to what they did last night against the Thunder, and I felt closed the game pretty well. We had some sightings of players we've not seen very often this year. Shout out to Dorian Finney-Smith for making a statistical impact. He obviously makes a regular impact on the game, but I thought he shot the ball. He shot the ball well from the corners, confidently. Just enjoyed it. All right, so now that we're here, you guys want to come up on stage and tell me what your thoughts are on the game. We'll hang out for a little bit tonight, maybe cut this one a little bit early because I was up until about 3 a.m. doing Mavs Moneyball stuff, and it's too early in the season for this bullshit. All right, let's go first to Harris. I didn't plug in my mic. What are you thinking?
Okay, did you catch
what are you thinking?
Yeah. Oh, what's it called? I was just impressed by Tim this game and how he closed the Nets game as well. They've been going to that lineup with him at the 2 a lot, and it seems like what Kid likes. And I'm just wondering if he's playing well, and if we still need that third ball handler. But I'm just wondering what the minutes look like with when he works, if we get that somehow, and how we keep him worked in.
Hey, yeah, you guys cut Harris a break. He sounds like he might be on the Metro, and Tim is giving me to answer your question, Harris. I think that getting Tim involved over the long run is probably good for the Mavericks, because one of 2 things is going to happen. One, they'll either find another home for him, which I think about half the chat would probably like, or he finds himself a pretty good rhythm. I saw somebody note that Tim, they didn't really like how he played. Well, he shot 5 of 15. That's true. I like the kind of shots he was getting. I also like the fact that he got to the free throw line. I like the kind of decisiveness for which he's playing. He's taking shots that I think he can make. Not a ton of dribbling. I wish he would cut some of the long 2 stuff, but that would be pretty brutal. I felt he missed Christian Wood a number of times tonight, but so did half the team. So it felt like kind of a team-based problem. But I was overall, I am encouraged by Tim's play the last several games relative to where he was for most of last season and to start the season this year. So, Yeah. Anyway, thanks for starting us off. I'm really sorry. I cannot believe I didn't have my mic plugged in. Spotify sent me this cool setup, and I did not have the mic plugged all the way into the jack. That is so embarrassing and entirely my fault. Okay, coming up next, we got my East Coast man, Mr. Douglas. What's going on?
Hey, man, what's up?
Well, I found some remedies to where I sound like I smoked 1 pack of Marlboro instead of 4. So
It's not a Mavs party. It's a Mavs social
right.
hour.
No, we don't deserve a party. Not for what we did last night. It's all our fault at the Mavs.
Yeah, last night was brutal. I couldn't even show up for that one. That one was rough. But I mean, we needed to win. I mean, it was Luka doing his thing in the first half. I wasn't able to watch too much of the game, so I got to listen into what you guys saw. But from the few stuff I was able to see, I saw a possession in the third quarter where it was an offensive possession by us. We missed a shot. Bobo got the rebound. He outran McGee because McGee's like the slowest guy in the court, and literally nobody was in front of him, and he just blew the layup. But he got the rebound and took the ball coast to coast, and I'm just like, yo, what is going on with that defense? Like, no communication there. Like,
well, it got better
I don't know.
as the game went on, if you'll believe it, because the first quarter was atrocious, where they were just giving up everything. And Bobo's the kind of player where if you don't see a guy like that regularly, you don't entirely know what to do with him. He is every inch of 7'2", and he's got really long, fluid strides when he gets going. I know which play you're talking about because he should have just dunked it and he blew the layup. He's kind of a goofy guy.
Yeah, I surprised him for the finger roll. And I was like, just dunk it. Yeah, but on a positive note, in all the games that we did lose, Spencer said it in the last post game because I was able to watch that. He was like, we lost a lot of double-digit fourth quarter leads, but at the same time, we have a lot of double-digit fourth quarter leads. So it's like, we're putting the ball in the basket. We're.
I could be wrong. I think they've led every fourth quarter of the season.
Yeah, like so it's like we're there, but we just gotta fix the kinks on defense. So we turn those out into wins. So I mean, like you said, the defensive thing, it'll work itself out as the season get along. But I'm just happy that it seemed that even though we lost Brunson, we still kind of have somewhat of a rhythm on offense where all these games we've pretty much had fourth quarter leads and significant fourth quarter leads at that. So
yeah.
Yeah,
nice. It's nice, and it's been for a variety of different reasons each game. And that gives me some sort of hope for the future if they can figure out elements of their rotation. I mean, I am firmly of the opinion that this JaVale McGee experiment, the sooner it ends, the better everyone can get along. Like Josh talked about this in the podcast he and I just recorded, that the Mavericks see, like Luka to a certain extent plays a little harder. There's when Dwight Powell's in, he's just not doing any of the things all of us imagined that he could do with a 7-foot frame, 7'6" wingspan, and really solid athleticism. He's just not displaying any of it. He looks like, I'm just going to keep repeating this because it's true. He looks like DeAndre Jordan. It's very much like this is the same picture meme from The Office. Like it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I looked at the box score that showed, when I last checked it showed that Wood had 4 or 5 shots. But, I mean, he did have 10 rebounds. So that's, you can't really let the offensive, not getting shots affect.
They got to get him the ball impact. More. That was something that was very evident at times where Tim Hardaway in particular looked him off a lot, but he made up for it in other ways. I thought his defense was mostly pretty good, not ideal, but again, the whole team sort of struggled with that. But, the rebounding is dirty work type stuff where if you go get the ball, you go rebound when your team needs it. Like that says something to me. And, Jason Kidd had a he singled him out post game for doing some nice things, which is good.
Yeah. And Luka, he seemed like he probably listened to you when it comes to attacking more, because it seemed like if he continues that mindset for the whole season, he's going to average at least 35 points a game because his free throws up. And I mean, take the three once in a while to keep the defense honest, but no one can check him inside the arc. And if he continues with that mindset, with the post up, the fadeaway, the mid range, I don't know who's gonna really be able to stop him. Nobody.
Well, so before this game, he was averaging 35.2, and he scored 44. Is that right?
Yeah, 44.
So that'll trickle up a little bit. He had some moves in the second quarter that were disgusting. And I got a text from one of my friends that essentially said, like, the Mavericks are using Luka how I use Luka in 2K, which it's like we're just gonna make him bowl to the basket. Yeah, he would have had 50 points if he hit his free throws tonight. He was that good.
All right, man. Good social hour. Hopefully Wednesday we have a party on Wednesday.
That's right. We get a couple days rest. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. Talk soon. All right, coming up next then is my man Chris. Chris, sorry to make you wait.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Last night I kind of gave up a little early, around 12:15. That whole last night experience was just depressing. As a Mavs fan since 2000, I honestly can't say that I can remember us being up, let's say, around 16 points with 4 minutes to go and then losing it.
Well, I mean, Tim McMahon had a tweet this morning to the effect where it is. Let me just go find it because it's that good of a tweet. It was, where did this go here? This was real bad. It was a crazy statistic. NBA teams were 9,975-1 when leading by 16 plus points in the final 4 minutes of the fourth quarter of the last quarter century. The Mavericks were simply the second team to do that in the last 25 years. So congratulations us. So I feel like our sort of bitching and moaning, and even bitching and moaning into this game, was justified because it was a horrifying loss.
And I was sticking with, I knew we were going to win. I just knew, because I just have confidence. I knew Luka was going to close it out. And I know I'm talking about last night's game, but every time I never heard of Isaiah Joe. Every time I see this guy now, I'm just going to have that Jimi Hendrix song in my head. That
he was
Hey Joe.
He was my guy going back to. So my internet shtick for all of 2017 and 18 was like basically willing the universe to send Luka Doncic to the Mavericks. For 2018, 2019, I had settled in on Isaiah Joe because this guy in college heaved like 10 or 11 3-point shots a game and shot like 44% from three. He was like, that's all he did though. All he did was shoot threes. And I'm like, when this was back before Dorian had really kind of turned into the Dorian we know. And I'm like, we just need guys like this that are going to shoot. Now, what makes that funny is like, now that's kind of all the Mavericks have is like guys that really want to shoot the 3-pointer. And so it's like, it's just a terrible call by me. And of course he kills us last night.
Yeah, man, tonight with Josh Green, I think he made 1 or maybe 2 3-pointers. I don't know. But last night he was just driving the ball and just messing up, but just stay where you're at. Just get ready. Like, you're going to get the ball. Just don't have to move. Just shoot the ball. Like, I think he's a pretty decent 3-point shooter. I mean, he hasn't shot. I think he's like 6 for 9 this year.
We need to see volume, but so far this year, all his offensive moves, let's just kind of categorize all his shots together. Shots, drives, whatever. I like them. He had a finish around the rim tonight that was fantastic. And he, if he's going to play 20 minutes, I'd like him to take 4 shots. Tonight,
and if he's playing decent on defense, I'm not really paying attention to how effective he is on defense. I think he's doing okay.
But see, you sort of said it. Okay, none of us are real defensive experts. Let's just be honest with ourselves here.
Right.
But if he's not pissing you off, that's a step in the right direction. And
right.
I agree with you. I think he's playing nice defense. I think his footwork and angles are good. He's made it, there's a little bit of like Mavs fan insanity over him right now, but I do think that he's made a case for continued minutes. And I really like that lineup that started the fourth quarter tonight and last night, where it's these guys that all, he makes things better by playing hard, and it's like the right blend of guys.
Yeah. And I think after last night's game and, in the first quarter of this game, I just had to turn my knob a couple notches down on expectations of this team. Now you're hoping they'll even get out of the first round. Like, you get the whole play-in thing. I'm confident Luka, if that's the worst case scenario, we get in a play-in tournament, I think Luka's going to take over.
It's a long season, man.
Yeah, it's a long season. It's just this team.
Guys get in funks. Guys get out of funks. Dorian played a good game tonight. Dorian played, statistically. You never know. It's like Maxey is 0 of his last 8 from threes. He hits 1 of those last night. I'm convinced they win.
Right.
It's little stuff like that over the course of the year. The Mavs will connect at the right time. We talked about this last year kind of extensively. It's much better to be playing good at the end of the season than at the beginning. You want them to work out some of their kinks. I do think it's kind of reasonable to sort of put a ceiling on your expectations for this team. But one of the things that just is standing out to me is I don't really see like the teams at the top right now. Everybody's sort of so-called contenders coming into the year are sloppy. Like the Warriors got their butts kicked tonight by the Pistons, I think.
Yeah, and I know Kawhi Leonard's out, but just thank God. I mean, we're as a Mavs fan, we've won at least one championship. Clippers, they're cursed. They've never even won a title, and then this is the year that they come into. Like it seems like they're title favorites, and they're. I mean, I know Kawhi Leonard's not playing, but they're losing against some bad teams right now. So things could be much worse, and it is a long season. But the whole JaVale McGee thing is just so scary, stupid right now. What's going on with this whole thing? And did you see Jason Kidd's post conference? He's like, yeah, all the bigs played great tonight. Christian Wood, Maxi Kleber, and then he kind of paused for a second. He didn't want to say JaVale McGee. And he's like, yeah, our bigs played great tonight. So it's just like, oh my God, this is kind of a mess right now. But
it is.
Last question, real quick. I was wondering about next summer when we're done with the whole Porzingis giving away the pick to the Knicks. How many picks do we have?
So you can trade, you can get really funky. So they owe the Knicks pick here for 2023. So they could, once they're free of that obligation, they could then trade 2024, 2026, 2028, 2030, and then do pick swaps for the other years if they really.
Lord, we can get a big fish right just from a trade. That's crazy.
But, I'm hopeful that the market sort of resets on pick related stuff just because I don't like doing this sort of thing. The best teams in the league year in and year out have built elements through the draft.
The Warriors. The Warriors.
I mean, Cavaliers have done this. The Celtics are really good. The damn New Orleans Pelicans are a great example of this. Picks are important. And I understand why Cuban went away from them in the later Dirk years. This is not that. The Mavericks need cheaper assets. And unless the market changes totally, they got to be sure because the next move, we've said this, is the last move because there's only so many years in the contract. And you don't want to give away the farm for somebody you're not sure of.
Right. Just hope these guys can click. Yeah. Lastly, just hopefully Finney-Smith, Bullock, hopefully when Bertans comes back, if they just hit 2 or 3 threes a game themselves, because they're going to get their open shots with everybody, doubling Luka constantly. We just got to rack up some wins. We just got to get on a winning streak and we'll feel better about the team. So
that's true. Just get a couple games over 500. We'll feel better.
Yeah. Let's go Mavs.
All right. Thanks, bud. Talk soon.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to my guy, Christian.
Hey, Kirk. How are you?
A little better. Working out the kinks in the old I'm apparently just allergic to this.
That's not a good thing if you live here. But, gosh, last night's loss was so infuriating. Literally halfway through OT, I just stopped watching because there was no energy at all. And already I think you're seeing small changes. Like McKee only played 9 minutes, and those 9 minutes were infuriating. But you're seeing it. Like McGee is just not going to be in this rotation at all pretty soon, I think. And I know a lot of people just don't like Dwight Powell, but I think I said it in the Brooklyn game. Dwight Powell, he just gives you energy and effort, and you're not seeing those from McGee. And when you get energy and effort from Dwight, I feel like everyone else is also trying, which is good. Like I think you need that no matter what the situation is, and that's the one positive. And of course, Josh Green is playing a lot better, which I thought was really key. And you're seeing him take a few more shots. Yes, he can take more, but you're also seeing him put energy and effort in, and I think that's helping the whole team a lot. Of course, the defense is still a problem. Like it doesn't really look great, but I don't know. What did you feel like? It's hard to completely pinpoint what the Mavericks need to do because it feels so much like a few people will be having a good game and then no one else will.
Ooh, I was muted there. Well, I mean, that's going to be the nature of any team sport where you want to have enough guys to where if somebody has an off night, you can survive it. And right now, we're waiting to see someone take kind of a firm second place with the Mavericks. I don't know if when that will happen. I assume it will be at some point. Spencer Dinwiddie was going to have good games. He's going to have bad games. Christian Wood, I just need to see more involved in the offense. But I don't know. I mean, I feel much better than I did last night for obvious reasons, but a lot of the same concerns still exist.
For sure. And I think probably one of the things I'm seeing is that McGee is out of the rotation and Powell is your backup big and Christian Wood is probably starting. And I think the one positive is even when Christian Wood is not getting the shots on the offensive end, even though he was 3 of 5, I feel like, on offense, but he was still contributing on the defensive end. And I think that was I feel like that was a concern going into the season that, if Wood doesn't get his shots, what is he going to do defensively? And I don't think he's been a liability, which I think is a positive overall.
Well, and that's kind of all we can hope for at a certain point.
For sure. It's so early in the season. The way I put it is every game is like the temperature, and the thing that's so frustrating is the temperature just keeps going from 100 to negative, to 0 or to negative 10. But the climate, I feel like, is kind of at the same place. I'm not completely convinced about this team. I think they can definitely make the playoffs, and I think my goal is still, I don't have the expectations of Western Conference Finals. I think I don't want to say it's a fluke, but it's a very difficult thing to do for any team. And I think my goal is still a first round win, but it's so early in the season, it's hard to say what you want to do. And the team composition will probably change. And I think the one thing I trust a little bit is what we've seen from this front office is they've kind of just bar the signings. When they make trades for low value assets, in the sense that you think about what Spencer Dinwiddie was when he got traded to the Mavericks, was kind of a low value asset, in the sense that I don't know how many teams would have really cared to have had him at all. And
none. He was a huge negative asset.
Exactly. And I don't think he's necessarily a massive positive right now, but he's definitely better. I think more teams would be willing to take him. And I think it's the same with Christian Wood. You think about what went for the trade in Christian Wood, and I think he's showing that he can obviously be a positive player. So I'm not necessarily expecting a blockbuster trade even next year, but I think that's kind of an important thing, and it's something we haven't seen from the Mavericks in so long, is taking advantage of negative situations on other teams and for your own benefit. And it's so soon. And it's so hard. I think it's good that the team finally got a win where it didn't feel like they had to crawl all the way out. They just had to sustain their same levels.
For sure. Well, thanks for hanging out, man.
Thank you. No, I mean, when is our next game? Because I literally cannot remember. That's kind of worrying, because I feel like the 2-day rest thing is
but they just played 3 games in
weird.
4 nights. There were times tonight where everybody looked gassed because they had to play last night too much.
That's true. It's weird. Like you said, really the only teams I've looked at this early season that I feel like, they're dominating teams are Milwaukee and Cleveland. Those have really been the most consistent teams who have not lost, I felt like, bad games. But, Chris just mentioned the Clippers, the Warriors, the Heat just lost to the Kings. And it's so early in the season, it's really hard to tell who is what right now. So yeah, I think it is important the team wins, but I also understand the ideas of experimenting a little. It's definitely frustrating, but we're seeing a lot of positive that I think we just didn't see at all at the beginning of last season. That makes me a little more overall positive, if that makes sense.
It does, though I wish we had more wins.
For sure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
All right, coming up next, we have Harold. What's up, Harold?
Hey, Kirk. Well, good to have a win. It's kind of a relief more than anything.
Sure.
I did want to just kind of add to the conversation about, I've always, well, at least this season, I've been pretty bullish on the Mavs. I really thought that they were a better team than they were last year. And the way I saw it is that, their potential is definitely higher for where it was last year, because I do think that the addition of Wood gives Luka just another toy on the inside that he didn't have before. I mean, I didn't think that losing Brunson was going to hurt, but I actually do think that losing Brunson has hurt a lot more than I realized. And the reason for that is, Brunson, he's the kind of player, he's a real steadying presence. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot, and he's pretty clutch and pretty automatic from the mid-range.
Real difficult shot type stuff.
Yeah, and, you can imagine over these, people have been saying we should be 5-0, or now we should be 6-0. Against Phoenix, we went scoreless for like a few minutes there in the fourth quarter in that game. We went scoreless for a few minutes in the other game that we lost in the fourth quarter recently. And you could totally see how Brunson would have hit a couple of shots, just because he just always does hit a couple of those mid-range. And those runs against Phoenix that we were losing, and then against the other team that I can't remember right now, those runs were created by turnovers. Turnovers often will turn the tide of a game. Turnovers just, runs because of turnovers. And Jalen, he doesn't turn the ball over. He never really turns the ball over. He's very, very good at holding on to the ball. Unlike Dinwiddie, he's a little bit more volatile. Luka can sometimes be volatile, but
you see how many turnovers the boys had tonight?
I don't know how many.
Guess. This is a riot.
I have no clue. 20. 4. Wow, that's great.
Luka had
good.
none.
That's fantastic.
Luka never has no turnover.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. From a game-to-game basis, where they've really gotten kicked in the pants with these turnovers is not like 20 throughout the game. They have like 4 in a row. And it's just murdering all form of momentum.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that our highs are very high right now, and as you can see from the games, and our lows are very low. And I just think with Brunson, our highs, if we had him now with Wood and everything, our highs would still be the same, but our floor would be more managed in these games. I don't think we'd hit these rock bottom where, we have to rely on Luka to do everything. We would have Brunson there to help him out. I'm not really sure about Dinwiddie. He's not very steady. He's very good, and I value what he does, but he's just not steady like Brunson. So we'll see where it goes. No, yeah. We're a dangerous team. That's for sure. I mean, you saw that against Memphis. You saw that against Phoenix.
Sure.
But we're also just really volatile right now, and I do hope that Jason Kidd, the genius that he is as a coach, as you know, that he's able to figure out some good lineups that are a lot more steady than they are right now. So we'll see. We've got a long season, like you said.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Harold.
All right, my pleasure. Take care.
Let's go to Logan. What are you thinking, Logan?
How's it going, Kirk?
It's going. What's going on tonight? What's on your mind?
So I was thinking about like angles to reaching a kind of ceiling, or like the defense and Christian Wood seem so obvious, but it's like we just talked about it a million times about Christian Wood. Like they have to get him integrated. They just got to get him touches. I don't really I want them to do more Luka and him pick and roll, but I feel like it's just a matter of like empowering him. So that one's kind of like, how many times can you talk about it? The defense, I wanted to say, for stretches, I thought the defense played better, and that's when we came back. You basically could just tell, the game flipped when they were being more aggressive. And they just looked more like last year, really dialed in, really aggressive. And I'm wondering if, the McGee minutes are just really killing us that much, because even though it's only a 10-4 run in these close games, because we're playing the drop and it just gets killed. And I don't know if maybe y'all have noticed enough to be like, okay, the way that they're playing defense is actually different to where stop anything at the rim. But I do feel like it just looks better when he's in there. I mean, he knows it better. He can actually move. So I'm just trying to think of like how the defense can get better.
That's where the McGee signing doesn't make any sense, because your defense last year, the defense for the Mavericks last year was based on controlled aggression and commitment.
Good way to put it.
And commitment to rotations. Where Kidd got killed in his second Milwaukee Bucks year was they had ran this incredibly aggressive defensive scheme. And by the year 2, it just got picked apart. I felt that the Mavericks had a very well-oiled defensive philosophy where you were getting the best out of all the guys that you had. It worked against them against the Warriors because the Warriors basically are designed to grind your defense into dust. But for the rest of the season, I thought it was really effective. So to go get a drop-based center.
So weird.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not going to mince words. Like, to me, a lot of what they decided to do this offseason was attempt to build something that addressed problems that weren't as big as they actually made them out to be.
Right.
And a lot of Mavs fans wanted the Mavericks to go get help on the boards. Okay. But you made it to the Western Conference Finals by not giving a shit about the boards.
Yeah. Well, we were like mobile, and that was part of why our defense was so good and part of how we were winning playoff games. And then so good that they made our very mobile team look slow. And then that's why Kevon Looney was always open and just had to dunk it in. So people kept being like, well, we got a center in there killing us. So obviously we just need some other dude who's big. And it's like, that's not actually the case. The Warriors are just so good. They stretch you so far that you end up, even like a good mobile team where we're not playing a center, we were still just like rotated to death.
Yes. Well, I mean, Brett in the chat says playing drop is mostly bad. Like, that is a kind of defensive phraseology at this point. No good team plays drop.
Except Milwaukee. It's like a weird Coach Bud thing. Coach Bud has all the weird shit like that doesn't make sense. Like, right. But I know they play it a.
Did we lose you?
Hello?
Hey, my signal got weak for a second. Don't know what happened there. Sorry about that.
So yeah, I just don't really know. Like, last year it took a while to gel, but this is the same system. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, are we going to be like the 18th defensive team and we need to just kind of lean into offense for the sake of winning regular season games? I mean, that's kind of too macro to know, but I'm just like trying to figure out I think Josh Green helps.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, he's been really good on defense.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they do, because I just, from what we've seen this year, the kind of not really been impressed by a lot of the rotations from game to game, but that's something where, if we're really being honest, the Mavericks were good at defense from like January 1st until right after trade deadline. And then things went kind of sideways, and then they rode a reputation, and then they cut down their rotation, and then they made it work again. And, you're not going to be like a top 5 team all year long. You need to be like good in chunks and figure out ways to make things work, and then adapt as offenses figure out your defense. And right now they've just had these games where they start off so poorly, or they go through stretches where they play so poorly that it's hard to say like what exactly is going wrong, where, honestly, the Josh Green minutes have been good. I mean, there just haven't been enough of them for me to make any huge determination about whether that's something that's sustainable for like 25 minutes or 15 minutes.
So it can't just be like, this is what Josh Green does. And then so if you plug that in, because you just don't even know if that's going to be replicable. Because to me, I mean, I'm not going to go on a whole like start Josh Green like crazy thing, but I'm just kind of saying stuff that he noticeably helps. I like the way, Luka grinds the clock down, and we all know what Luka is. Josh Green is kind of the only guy that just from his natural zip and like inclination to be a Tasmanian devil, I like when him and Luka are like paired on the perimeter, because he starts doing crazy shit and the ball just moves. And I think Brunson helped with the ball move, and I didn't want to go in. I have so much stuff to say about just how Brunson would help us, but he kept the ball moving and he was purposeful on offense. Like he knew what he wanted to do. And besides Luka, I don't feel like we have a lot of like purpose-driven decisions on offense. Like beside whatever Luka's doing, Luka, but besides that. And I think that's a big place where we miss Brunson because, I mean, he's Villanova point guard. Like it's just what he is born doing it. But I think even though Green can't do that, I'm just watching that bench lineup that goes on those runs and the ball is zipping. And I know, like, you can't say Luka's overrated because he holds on the ball a long time. Like, he's incredible. But I do want there to be that balance where it's like every once in a while, because last year I think we were at our best when the ball zipped around. Like, it still was like Luka running it all and he was going to go slow. But every once in a while you get those 5-6 pass possessions, and those aren't happening. They're just bouncing around the perimeter, going nowhere.
Yeah. Well, still plenty of time to figure things out. And, with the homestand, 3 more games, including one weird Nets game, hopefully they will notch up some more wins and we'll actually get some pretty good, lineup data to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thanks, man. Talk soon.
You, Chris.
Sorry, I'm having weird technology issues tonight. That's my fault. Let's go to Grayson.
Hey, Kirk. Y'all already hit a lot of the points that I was going to cover. I just wanted to point out, that what Luka's doing is really remarkable. Especially, I mean, his average has probably got to be over 37 or 38 now after tonight, and he's doing it without his 3-ball, which is what's really exciting to me. Is he has not shot the 3 very well this season so far. Ronald just said the same thing in the chat. Like, that's exactly what I'm saying. If Luka starts hitting that 3-ball, it's going to get out of control.
Yeah, but I love seeing him drive because he gets away from the drive when his 3-ball goes like 2 or 3 times. He wants to shoot. Like, he still shot 9 threes tonight. Did you realize that?
Yeah, he was 2 for 9 tonight. It's crazy. It's like, but I agree. Their offense works better when he drives because it gives them a chance. He's more efficient at the rim.
It's so
period
too. He just gets in there and does mean things to a variety of players in a variety of different ways. Like, he bodied Bol at one point so bad that felt like.
Well, also one of my speaking on the demoralizing aspect of it, one of my favorite things about Luka, and it's like one of the best and worst things about Luka, is that he likes to go at the other team's best defender. And the disadvantage of that is obviously you're going at their best defender. But the advantage is, like the Nets game the other night, if he's just scoring over and over again on Ben Simmons, who at one point was one of the best perimeter defenders, if not the best perimeter defender in the NBA, like that's tough to see. That's tough to see, as an opponent. But anyway, I'm excited to see if Luka's 3-ball starts going. I think it will eventually. I mean, we have to regress back to the mean at some point. And I mean, I'm interested to see where the free throw shooting goes to, because so far it's been all right. He didn't shoot it super well tonight, but he's opened the season a lot better than I can remember him opening it from the free throw line.
Well, thanks for coming up and talking tonight. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
All right. Last but not least, my man Ruben. Ruben, how you doing?
Hey, Kirk, can you hear me okay?
I can. Welcome.
Oh, man, just glad tonight went different than last night. I had to go to a Halloween party just to get that off my mind, just get shit-faced pretty much. But no, tonight, a couple things I did notice tonight, it wasn't during the whole game. First off, all the McGee talk, it kind of reminds me, well, in my mind, I feel like we're at square one again after we lost the Western Conference Finals. We were trying to find solutions to get Powell out of the rotation. And now that we're back, we're all in the mind of Powell has to start. It kind of puts me like in mind state of square one until something changes in the starting lineup. Another thing was I'm starting towards the end of this game I started giving a little bit of credit how Luka looks this year, averaging 35 points a game, is kind of contributed to Christian Wood in my opinion, because I noticed towards the end of the game, I don't know how many minutes he played tonight, but I started to notice that he has a lot of gravity He was averaging 25 a game starting out. And I feel like teams are starting to, hey, let's stick to this guy like they're doing Dorian. But I did notice Luka kind of clears everybody out, but he tells Wood to kind of stay close or give me a little bit of space. And in this game, Luka got his 30 in the halftime because his guy was so far with Christian Wood that literally the weak side is literally open and he can get to the goal anytime he wants. But, if it's Reggie or Dorian or Spence next to him, they're kind of like sagging off. The guy that's guarding Luka can still get help. But towards the end of this game, I noticed, with C Wood in there, he has gravity that Luka does when Luka doesn't have the ball in his hand. And hopefully, I'm hoping that, after, Jason Kidd does all his tinkering, that, he allows, I'm still on team C Wood start. He gives you more than Dwight. He gives you more than McGee. Just his gravity alone can, help us start games quicker. With McGee out there, he has to, do the pick and roll, but everybody on the other team knows he's rolling. But Wood, he has the gravity and you have to stay with him. I feel like once that happens, if it happens, I hope it happens, we start having quicker starts and we're not relying on our second unit so much like we have in the past couple games. And I just don't want to be at square one because that's not a winning recipe in the playoffs with Dwight Powell out there. With Christian Wood, he's coming along. And I just hope Jason Kidd sees that and doesn't get caught in his feelings. And I don't know what's going on with him against Christian Wood at this point after his comments last night. That kind of irked me a lot last night. Cause I feel like no coach should ever just call out a new player that's trying to learn the team in your fifth or fourth game. That was real shitty to me, but just my two outlooks for the rest of the season after he's done tinkering. I hope Christian Wood starts, and call me crazy, but I hope, if you look at the stats, Josh Green pretty much gave you what Reggie is giving you, but plus the energy. And I heard people, in the last couple guys say when he's out there, he may do, he's learning. He's super young. He may do a stupid play, but I guarantee you, if you look at the film, the next play he causes a turnover or he does something super spectacular. But you have to, he has to learn how to play, those amount of minutes. And I would love to see him in the starting lineup with C Wood, Dorian, Luka, and Spence. I like what I see from Spence. He just needs to work on his lob. He can't throw a lob for anything. But that's what I saw tonight.
Spencer's stinky at the passing. It's really funny.
Yeah, and just to give Josh Green his flowers, we can all see the progress he has made. And I feel like for the Mavs to be a good team, you brought up a good point. I don't want to see us trade all our picks. And, and I hope that does go down next year or whenever our picks are available, because young players like that, they may, go through their bumps and bruises. But I feel like every team we've lost to this year, it's a guy that, he hasn't played it ever, or he just got on the team, or he just got back from the G League. I'm like, these other teams are giving these guys a try, and some of them show up, some of them don't. But if you empower your young players to just go out there and do what they can do best, you're going to get the fruits of their labor. And we are definitely getting the fruits of of Josh Green's labor. And right now he is playing just as good as C Wood, Luka. And I would, like to see him kind of transplant Reggie, because looking at these games, Reggie and Dorian are gassed.
Man. Come on.
I'm saying you gotta. I see your tweets, and you're giving Josh Green a lot of props.
Standard setting I'm talking about. where there's a difference between saying Wood needs to play more than 10 minutes a game, being like, oh, he needs to supplant proven playoff rotation guy, Reggie Bullock. No.
So basically what's going to happen is they're going to be gassed. They are gassed.
I mean, if they want to play him a few more minutes, I think that's how you find a few more minutes. Like tonight, Wood, Reggie played like 29 minutes. Like, playing under 35 minutes a game for a lot of these guys, I think is productive over the course of the year. But when they play like 38, 42 minutes a game, things like that, that's not great.
But team building wise, how long is Reggie under contract for? Does he have a year left? 2 years?
This year, next year.
This year, next year.
Yeah.
If you can grow Josh Green to supplant Reggie and put him on the bench, that makes you can't tell me that doesn't make your second unit.
It's also happen because Josh Green has taken 14 shots this year. 14 shots this year. This is a volume-based problem. Everybody gets all like this, where it's like you have to have guys that are willing to take 8 to 10 shots a game. In these situations.
And you got to have guys that know how to cut to the basket. He does so much. In my book, he does so much more than Reggie.
If he was good, he'd be good. This is the stuff that drives me crazy about the Josh Green discussion. We can tell him that he did a good job without being like, I really think this guy should be a starter. No, he should be a rotation guy, and they should find more minutes for him. If we could play him 20 minutes a game every night, I would be pleased as punch because he does do some fun stuff.
That's fine. And I my last point, and I'll get off. They had the same amount of points, Reggie and Josh Green, tonight, pretty much. Yes. I think. Yeah. If more games go down the line and Josh Green is outscoring and he's giving you more, hitting his threes.
I have 10 years of Reggie Bullock data that shows month by month he shoots the ball better every single month. The fact that he's actually not shooting like 10% from three is kind of shocking to me because last year it was so bad. Do you remember? We were like, let's trade this guy. Like, let's trade him immediately.
I wouldn't. I'm never like trade people. No, I don't want to go down there. But if Jason Kidd keeps shitting on Christian Wood, it's not going to end good for this team.
Well, I'm going to end on a Christian Wood point because you brought something up that I think is worth talking about. Thank you for hanging out, Ruben.
Okay.
All right. So the one thing that kind of drives me nuts about Luka Doncic pick and rolls is that they're often mismatch hunts. They're not actual pick and rolls or pick and pops. Luka looks for a player that he wants. It's bum hunting, and then he isolates. And I think with Wood, we're seeing very few pick and rolls with Luka at this point relative to what I would consider to be an actual pick and roll, where he gets the guy that he wants off of like a soft rub screen that's not even a real screen. Like Luka does not use screens outside of Dwight Powell for any effective purpose other than getting a switch. And I think if we're to see more Wood involved in the offense, we need some actual pick and rolls, pick and pops, pick and flare screen. There's all sorts of stuff you can do off pick and rolls. And Luka, quite reasonably, and this is the thing that drives people nuts, is he's playing the math that him getting the isolation that he wants is the best play. And he's right because he's scoring 35 plus points a game. But I think that, so some people in chat are like, oh, what's going on with Wood? What's going on with Wood? I think this works itself out in the wash over time. I really do. Wood is too good. When they get him the ball in isolation positions, particularly on mismatches in the post, he scores. He draws fouls. The foul drawing is something that they've gotten away from Wood the past couple of games, and I think that hurts them. I'm sure you guys saw that the Mavericks are leading the league in free throw attempts. Wood is a big part of that because he draws the fouls. Luka doesn't get any foul calls relative to how much he drives and gets bumped. So I wouldn't worry about Wood in the long term right now. I want to see him more involved, and I feel pretty good about that. All right, guys, we had a great time, a nice little Mavs social. Maybe we'll have a party on Wednesday. Thanks so much for hanging out. I appreciate every single one of you who take the time to come up here and talk with me. We need to find, some of our old favorites from last season that have yet to pop back in here because we need some of the angry energy that we get from people that aren't me. Everybody be good. Come by MavsMoneyball.com. On Tuesday, we have a piece that I'm really looking forward to on why our guy Clint hates Mavs, man. He's really funny. Everybody be good, and we will talk soon. Have a great start to your week.